Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company. And Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. All you have to do to join the football family is hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. And if you do that, share it with your friends. Tell them all about it. We've got the podcast, we've got the YouTube channel with so much content. And if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips as well. Lots to talk about. Another defeat for Scotland and Portugal on the way to Hampden tomorrow. Hearts are closing in on their second choice as manager. We'll discuss Neil Critchley. Are we heading for a football strike as players and leagues are taking action against FIFA? And not only that, could we be heading for Bosman 2 in the transfer market? There is a legal case which could spell problems for clubs and any contracts they have with players. The competition winner, we might as well start off by saying congratulations to Dave Balfour, Ruffy. He won the Aberdeen away top.
Fantastic, yep. I'm sure there was a lot in for that, you know, and I forget, is it signed? Is it a signed one?
No,
we could probably get it signed.
We could, but shut it, you're not getting
we
it signed.
will.
Why don't we get it framed and then give them £1,000?
No, I'm sure I'm sure he gets his jersey. Yeah. He's outside the entrance at Aberdeen and the players are coming in.
Yeah.
Got his signature.
Well, to be fair, what we've said to him is if he can play golf with you and Macca, then stay at your house overnight with the top on and then head out for a meal just with you.
No, I think me and Tam would go up to Trump Turnberry, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Aberdeen,
Fire on.
If he's got a membership there.
Fire on. Dave, I'm going to pass on Ruffy's number to you. Contact him if you can with your Aberdeen top on. Congratulations to you. Anyway, more competitions on the way as well. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and join that football family. Earlier on, just finished the Scotland press conference. I caught up with Kerry Pollock at Hampden.
Well, I'm delighted to say we're going to Hampden Park now because Kerry Pollock is there. She's been listening to the words of the Scotland manager, Steve Clarke. Steve Clarke himself, with the stats backing him up, is close to achieving a little bit of record that Jock Stein and Andy Roxburgh had as managers of Scotland.
Yes, he is that, Peter. He's in that bracket and he said he's absolutely delighted to be mentioned in the same sentence as those guys, Jock Stein and Andy Roxburgh, as you mentioned. Just one man outruns him as Scotland manager, that's Craig Brown. He's 9 ahead of him just now. And to meet that target, he has to obviously outdo his contract, which will hopefully take him into the Americas, into the World Cup, which I'm hoping to do. But he's got bigger problems ahead of him. He has to take on Portugal here tomorrow night at the National Stadium. And despite defeat to Croatia on Saturday, he says the players have no issues and they're well aware of what's challenged ahead and what they need to do.
None of our players are good, ready to go again. There's absolutely no issue whatsoever with that. Like I said before, the players understand where we are in the process. They understand what they have to do to get results, and as far as I can see, and hopefully as far as everyone else can see, they're all on board with that.
A player obviously who has caught the eyes of the Scotland fans is Ben Doak. He's only 18 years old, and Steve Clarke says there's no issues with the youngster being thrown in. That would make him ageist, of course. He joked about that, but he wants it to be a star for the next 15 years and not just for a short length of time.
Yeah, I think so. You've always got the balance in that. We know Ben's a talent, but we want Ben to be a talent for the next 15 years, not for the next 15 months. So, as I always say, don't put too much pressure on him. He's a young man. He will make mistakes in the game. He will do some really good things in the game.
So the expectation will be that they'll hope to see Ben Doak, and we might even see a few more faces thrown in here tomorrow night.
Yeah, Kerry, I think everybody is hoping that we can somehow reverse this dismal run we're on. 1 win in 15 is not great. Some people expecting 1 win in 16, but we're hoping for a huge turnout of the Tartan Army and maybe Scotland on the front foot.
Well, that's exactly it. That's what Shea Adams says. He did notice a few changes during the Croatia game. One of the criticisms coming out of the Euros was that Scotland were a bit cautious in the way that they set up. They played with back forward against Croatia. He said he certainly noticed that Scotland are more attacking, trying to get the ball back, and hopefully we'll see that here again tomorrow night, because the last time we played Portugal, of course, it was the 88th minute from Ronaldo that stole the points away from us.
Yeah, thanks to Kerry out there at Hampden covering that Scotland press conference. Well, first of all, let's talk about the nearly point that we almost got against Croatia. What were the positives for you, Ruffy?
I think the positives were obviously the young boy Doak. I think any time he got on the ball, you were looking for something to happen. You know, that's not happened for a long time from anybody in a wide position, obviously through injuries, but he was given his chance. Yeah, I thought we looked organised as we always do. I think we had a lot of possession of the ball, which we don't usually have. You know, unfortunately, the possession for the back to the midfield is very, very good, and then as usual, we get up front and there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing to hang on to. There's not somebody up there who you know is going to score for you, but given a chance. I think the boy, no disrespect to him, he's scored 1 goal in about 15 games or something like that. He's not a prolific goal scorer at this level.
Lyndon Dykes.
Yeah. And we know all these big teams have got the big time scorer, and we don't have that. So I think we've just got to keep persevering, free kicks, corners, see what we can get. But it was certainly a better performance than the Euros.
I mean, I am going to be optimistic first of all, and positive in my assessment of it. While watching the match, Tam, I actually thought, yep, okay, they've got possession at times, but we're playing some good football. But there's always that sense of we just don't have anything up front. When we took the lead, it was a mistake by Croatia, which we were able to capitalise on through Ryan Christie. But then there's always that sense of impending doom because, and I sound like a broken record, we just cannot defend.
No, we can't. I thought it was a lot of positives to take out the performance, Peter. I think we always need the second goal. I think we've shown that against Portugal, scoring the first goal as well. If you go 2-0, it gives you something really to hang on to. I don't think we're strong enough defensively against the top teams to keep them out. You always fancy Croatia to come back, but I thought we played well in spells. I thought that we pressed high. You know, I thought we showed energy in the final third. We went after Croatia, and when we had the ball, we kept the ball well. But I totally agree with Ruffy. We're crying out for a striker, a number 9. You know, Big Dykes goes up there, and you know what you're getting from him. He'll put himself about. He'll win fouls. He'll work defenders, but we've not got the quality in the final third. And again, it's a midfield player that scores for us, Ryan Christie. And if the midfield players, your John McGinns, your McTominays, your Christies are not chipping in with goals, we're really struggling to score a goal at the minute. So again, I think we'll go and we'll compete against Portugal tomorrow, but I just think in the final third we're really lacking, because I thought a lot of our play was good until we got into the final third, and then it all broke down.
Brian says 1 in 15 is a dismal record. Clarke would have been sacked if he had that record at a club team. I just wonder, I mean, it's a big game tomorrow night at Hampden, how we go about things, but I just wonder, is there almost an acceptance of the fact that the credit in the bank is getting to these tournaments too, which we hadn't been at a major tournament for such a long time. So is that the credit in the bank which avoids anyone questioning whether he's going to get sacked or not?
Yeah, I think the credit in the bank, obviously getting to the Euros, and taking Germany out of the equation, there's nobody really turned us over. You know, we've never got thumped by anybody. We've always been in the game, whether we lose a late goal or whatever. But he hasn't suffered like a 3 or 4-0 off of Poland or something like that at home. That kind of result.
He's come under pressure for the way they play, though, Ruffy.
Yeah, but
at the Euros,
maybe he's bought into it now, because I think he changed it a wee bit. As Tam said, we had a lot of possession. We had, you know, the players were comfortable on the ball. They were prepared to sort of move up the park and passes the way that Croatia were doing. But unfortunately, when Croatia got into the last third, the 2 boys wide, who were creating absolute havoc, we didn't have that. All we get is Andy Robertson getting to the 18-yard line and throwing balls into the box, and there's nobody in there apart from Dykes. Now, the wee boy Doak got into the corner of the 18-yard box, and he was taking people on, which you thought, oh, there's something here. But again, there was nothing in the box. The midfield were all coming late, but just too late. I just don't think... I think that if he keeps playing that way, you know, we're in the game and we're not getting turned over by anybody, you know, I wouldn't be shouting for him to be sacked.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the players that he's brought in, the nucleus of the squad, is as good as any time we've had in the last 10, 15 years.
I think that the players are giving everything as well, Peter. You can see that. You know, when managers are on a bad run, you look at the players, they're still playing for the manager. You know, they're still running for him, or they're still trying for him. And I think you can see to a man, you know, going right into the last minute, Peter, obviously the goal was offside, but we kept going right to the very death to try and get a point out of the game. Che Adams unlucky with a lob as well. We created chances in the last 5-10 minutes, so we kept going. And I totally agree with Ruffy. As long as we're not getting beat 3 and 4s and 5s, and we're competing with these top nations, then I don't think anyone can come in and do any better with the squad of players that we've got to pick from.
Yeah, do you think we'd have been? Do you think our whole discussion here would have changed had it been a 2-2 draw?
Yeah, I think it would have been, Peter, because I think that the second half, I thought we played well. I thought the last 10-15 minutes we really pushed for the equaliser. And I think a draw would probably been a fair result. But listen, Croatia have just got that little bit more quality in the final third than us, and that was a difference. But yeah, I think we would be, Peter, because we know how good Croatia are, the quality of the player they've got. But I don't think we looked outclassed at any point in the game. I thought Croatia looked a decent team, but I think we looked in spells every bit as good as them.
Yeah, Doc says basically Dykes is woeful. He looked like a junior player flicking balls on at chest height, then chasing it. Don't get me started on Grant Hanley. Jesus wept. I'm not sure if Jesus did weep. I certainly jumped up when we got the equaliser because I thought to myself, wow, 2-2, fantastic, you know. And then by an inch, by an ankle, by a toenail, we're deprived of that valuable point. But I did see positives. I mean, I know Lyndon Dykes has come out, Ruffy, and said that we're getting close, it's getting better. I wonder, I'm not going to totally and utterly discount and get into an argument with Tam on there's nobody out there better, because there's always someone who can change the way we play. I think maybe I'd like to see now he's bought into the Ben Doak. He's a sensible manager. He doesn't want to put all the pressure on his shoulders. Now I would like to see him. I'd like to see him maybe say, right, okay, I'm going to take the bull by the horns here. We're not scoring goals with Lyndon Dykes. Maybe we change the way we play and give somebody else, another striker, a chance to have a go at it and get 15 games. Yeah. Because it's not as if we're getting anywhere with the goals that Lyndon Dykes is going to make.
Shea Adams will come in, Peter, I think.
Yeah, well, Shea Adams has moved to
Roma,
a different league. You would think he's playing in a better class, which will give him a lot of confidence. But again, Tam will know better than me, to be a striker in a Scotland team, what you need service. You need people getting to the dangerous positions in the park. You need guys who are going to be firing missiles across the box to make it difficult for the defenders, because if you're the only guy up there and you're making movement, you're not going to get the ball all the time. But we've not got a natural instinctive striker who's something with the ball bobbles about and he's there.
Yeah.
You get strikers who are like that. They're very, very lucky, and they're in the right place at the right time. We just don't seem to have a striker like that now.
Yeah, and the other thing, and by the way, we like to read out people who agree with us, some who don't. We'll try and mix it up. And one here says, does Rough, now when they're calling you Rough, that means he doesn't like you. Does Rough believe the crap he is saying? He thinks because we haven't been turned over, it makes it okay.
No, I'm saying when you get turned over, when you generally get beat 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, that's when you get a reaction. I mean, there is a reaction. Just
what kind of reaction? A Celtic reaction?
No, sort of a, the manager has to go reaction.
Yeah.
It looks as if the players are maybe down tools and results like that.
Yeah, you get all the different ones. He's lost the dressing room, all that stuff. That's what people buy into, and obviously the media kick in as well. And it makes it very, very difficult for the powers that be to keep the manager in a job. The Germany game, yes, that happened there. You can't defend that at all. It was a dismal performance. I can't think of anyone recently. Okay, we beat with Holland, but I think since then, I think he's hopefully learnt a couple of lessons, but we won't know until tomorrow night until we see the team. I really do hope he keeps the young boy Doak in there, because I do think if they play like that the way they did, they could possibly get something out of the game tomorrow night. I really do.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, and again, lots of people are making the point, is there a reluctance to give Steve Clarke criticism? I don't think there is. I think in my mind, there's a realisation that we don't have, and we haven't had all the way back to Gordon Strachan when we were at Wembley in the tunnel, Ruffy, when we lost to 3 set pieces against England, and Scotland played really well that night at Wembley. I just don't think we've got the defenders. We haven't got a system that allows us even a defender in a natural position. We've had Tierney in there and a three centre halves. But it's asking a left back essentially, or a full back, an attacking full back, to play in a position sometimes it's not natural. He has on occasion played it for Arsenal, but I just think if it's better if you have centre halves who understand how to think like a centre half. We haven't got them, Tam, and we haven't had them for me. I don't think we've had them for the last decade, and no harm to Grant Hantley. It's just not good enough at that area, and then up front, if you can't defend, you can't score goals. You're not going to win matches or make it to these things. I don't know what he's going to have to do, but if there's one thing I think with Steve Clarke is I think the next stage of his evolution, managers can be lucky if they get the odd one or two players who come in and force their hand. I think he's got to look and say to himself, come on, we need to either blood somebody at the centre half position and suck it up, because right now we're not doing any better, and we need to blood somebody in the front line alongside Shea Adams, other than, Lyndon Dykes can be a squad player. We've got to find somebody, Tam, that can suddenly create a threat for us. And I think it's got to be somebody with a bit of pace.
I think the problem we've got, Peter, is we've got a couple of problems. Defensively, firstly, I think we are been crippled with injuries. I think when you look at the right back area in particular, Nathan Patterson, Aaron Hickey, I think three centre halves who would probably play would be Tierney centre half, Jack Henry, who I think is a decent player, and McKenna. I think there's three centre halves that would probably play. And the guys that are playing, Grant Hanley's not playing for Norwich, Peter. He's not getting a game.
Ryan playing for Celtic.
He's not playing for Celtic. Ryan Porteous is not getting a game for Watford, right? So we're throwing guys in there who are not playing and not match fit, which is an issue as well. In the forward areas, again, we're really lacking a striker. I think the last kind of talisman we had was a Kenny Miller. I think Kenny Miller was perfect for this role. That lead striker. He was more mobile than Dykes. He can run in behind.
Yeah.
He could score goals for us. Kenny was great for Scotland.
We need a counter-attacking striker.
Yeah, we need that. We need somebody at pace that can run in behind. And Dykes can't do that. Dykes, as Ruffy spoke about it earlier, relies on service. You need to get to the byline. You need to get crosses into the box for Lyndon Dykes. That's what he thrives on his whole career. That's why he done so well with Stephen Dobie doing it. Queen of the South, they played as a two together. So that's the problems I've got, Peter. And he's just, as I said, it's just a realism that this is the squad we've got at the minute. If we had a full squad available, I think we're a far, far better team. But we are missing, particularly defensively, we are missing some key players. And in the forward areas, you're right, we need to find someone more mobile than Dykes who can, away from home, like a Croatia, can go and run in behind and threaten them.
Yeah, and thanks to so many of you who are giving us your thoughts on it. We're only giving it from our point of view. Lots of the Tartan Army have got their own opinion on it, and one here from Les who says, this is the best Scotland team we've had for years. Give your arse a chance. We will improve under Clarke. You can't magic players out of thin air. I think your last point, Les, is absolutely spot on. I don't know where we're going. Bob says Peter doesn't rate McKenna. I just don't think any of the players in the back line, other than Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney, are anywhere near the standard that you can hope to come up with what Tam's talking about, Ruffy. We need to score 2 goals to think we might get a draw. That's been the case for 10 years, Ruffy.
Yeah, but things have moved on defensively now. Every time you see a manager buying somebody, it's always about his distribution on the ball. Is he comfortable on the ball? The days of the old centre-half are just putting in tackles and winning headers and competing against the opposition centre forward. That's all over now. It's a different style of defender that you want to be playing. And Tam's identified. I'm not going to buy into Tierney being a back three. I don't think it's his best position. I think it's wide, getting forward and firing. He's the guy when he was playing in that wide position, firing quality balls into the box. But obviously Andy Robertson's there as well. You can't have the two of them. I just feel it's a modern day thing now. You don't
What's a modern day thing?
Everything's coming through in the ground. Nothing's coming in high. Nothing. Centre halves don't have to go and win headers and all that. They have to be good at reading the game. Somebody sent me a clip, and I hate going back to the year dot, but I'm going to go back to the year dot. The year 1980, somebody showed me a clip.
Yeah.
A Scotland-England game. And the Scotland back forward was Danny McGrain, Willie Miller, Alec McLeish and Frankie Gray. And England threw everything at them. I think it was Trevor Francis and Woodcock and whoever. And Alec McLeish and Willie Miller just defended.
Yes.
They defended everything that came in the box, anything that was near the box. They read the game wide, both sides, and they just defended. They were old style defenders.
Yeah, we don't have them, and
No.
there's no, and I think that the point there that was just made moments ago is we can't magic them out of thin air. So we're just going to have to suck it up. I don't know if another manager suddenly comes in and starts to play a different style, which is going to produce a different end result. I'm not so sure. I think Steve Clarke, and he's not a mate. I do like him as a person. I know there's a group of Rangers fans who just don't like him, which is fine. They can get on with their own agenda. But I think the normal thinking fan from across the divide, Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, look at him and think, he's got us to 2 tournaments. He's a good manager. He just doesn't have the personnel. And if anything, and I think we were quite critical of him, Tam, I thought he got it woefully wrong in the European Championships.
He has changed it now. Peter definitely changed it. You know, we played 3-5 at the back, and we were too defensive. We were scared to go forward in the Euros. We froze in the big stage. He's changed it now. I could see even the other night, getting up the park, going and pressing teams high. We sat in over in Germany. We waited for things to happen. We're now trying to make things happen, but he's hamstrung with the squad he's got. You can only pick, the squad available. You can't go. It's not a transfer market. You can't go out and buy people. And I think, as I said to you, Peter, I think he'll struggle to get someone to come in and do a better job than Steve with the squad of players that he's got. I think, but I've definitely noticed a change. I think he's went home and analysed the Euros, and he's thought, we've got to be better than that. We've got to create more chances. I think we were the record lowest shots and lowest chances.
I think his greatest analysis must surely have come from Switzerland and Hungary. That's where I was hypercritical of him. I didn't go into the Germany match and think we were anything other than going to get battered. I thought there was the Hungary and the Switzerland game were what, for me, I looked and I thought, no, I'm sorry, Steve. It's all right being cautious. You need to change the game. The outcome was there to be changed in our favour, and you didn't grasp the nettle for two teams that we should have been beating. The Switzerland game was there for the taking. The Hungary was painful, and any manager could see. You want to win the game, get somebody positive on. And as you say, I do see the changes in him. Sometimes managers, as many a manager says, better being a lucky manager than a good one. Mm-hmm. Get that change that suddenly somebody comes into your side that you can't ignore. He's Scottish, he's in, and suddenly he gives you a different dimension on the way you want to play. Doakes is only one aspect of it, a young boy that he is, but we need others.
I don't think we've got others. I think the only other I can think of is the boy Lennon Miller.
Yeah, but he's another midfielder.
I know he is, but I can't off the top of my head.
I think Hickey looks good at right back.
He's not going to be a right back. He's going to be a wing back.
We need Hickey, and we need guys like Hickey and Patterson. That's and then Tierney.
I don't think we need Patterson. I'll tell you why. Because I think Patterson in if he gets regular football and starts to show the early promise of those few games that he had from Rangers, he's never been able to get into that Everton side on a regular basis, and his previous performances for Scotland were poor, Tam. I think he needs to go through a development phase.
I think
regular
he needs
football.
to go and play somewhere.
Particularly when we're at home, I would Tam's touched on. I'd like us to find 3 right good defenders and play a 3-5 with 2 up front, particularly at home.
Ruffy, if we could find 3 central defenders, we'd be winning points that we were losing games.
Yeah, but at home we should be against other teams having the upper hand. We should be on the front foot. We should be getting the ball wide to Robertson or Doak and getting in there.
Let me throw to you now, what's going to happen tomorrow night then?
Well, they won't play 2 up front, because every manager here now say you've got to stifle the midfield, you've got to get as many people in there.
No, but you've just said we should be on the front foot. Are you expecting us to be on the front foot tomorrow?
I think in parts of the game we should be.
Yeah.
I don't think Portugal should have possession of the ball all the time. I think we proved in Croatia we can have possession for not large parts of the game, but certain parts of the games. But at the end of the day, if you watch the way we play, there's nobody for the central of the McTominay or Gilmer, who are going to advance to the edge of the 18-yard box and have a ripping shot. So the only way we're going to get success is to get the ball wide to Robertson, get the ball wide to Doak, get them into dangerous positions, get balls into the box with the midfield sort of a supporting whoever it is up front.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can see is scoring, or a corner, or a set piece.
Hugh Scott has said, Peter, it goes to show Shankland was scoring for fun last season, but didn't use him hardly in the Euros. Now he's not scoring. It was a chance missed. Well, I am of the belief in the levels that Shankland, good scorer that he is not. He's not got enough movement for me. I mean, I have to be brutal about it, Tom. He's not got enough movement at the top level that suddenly is going to cause defences havoc. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I think he's a guy you bring on with 10, 15 to go if you're needing a goal. I think he's a penalty box striker, and he's good in a team that dominates possession, dominates games. That's why Hearts finished third last season. He's a massive part in that. Hearts playing the front foot, they were getting plenty of balls in the box for him to score goals. So that's not the way we play. We need somebody that can hold the ball up, get fouls, run the channels, get us up the pitch. That's just the way we play, and Lawrence is just not that type of player. But you've obviously got the Portugal team up on the screen there. They've got a lot of quality in their team, but I don't think there's a lot of pressure on us. Nobody expects us to get a result against Portugal tomorrow. So if I'm Steve Clarke, go and have a go and get after them, and see what happens. I think we've done that against Spain. This Portugal team's not as good as the Spain team we beat at Hampden. I know we're missing some players, but that night we pressed Spain. They did not expect that. They're used to teams just coming and sitting in. We really, really pressed, played high up the pitch. We're brave on the ball, played a brave high line. And we've got to go and do the same to Portugal to get a result. If we just sit in against Portugal, they'll eventually open you up and pick you off.
Yeah, I don't expect us to win. I don't even expect us to get a draw. So anything tomorrow is a bonus. If we see that progression in, as Tam says, that possession, that high press, maybe creating a few more things, maybe we will be positive on Wednesday's programme, Ruffy. But, they had a team with Costa in goal, Dalot, Diaz, Vega, Mendes. Then they had their middle three, Fernandes, Neves and Silva. And then Pedro Neto, Cristiano Ronaldo and Rafael Leao, who just looked like one of those machines that could run all day. And of course Ronaldo gets his goal. I just think they've got some really technically gifted players. They play lovely little triangles, and they're really special, some of the players.
But Tam just touched on it there, that it doesn't matter who you're playing, and if you're playing against another team that's better than you and they've got better players than you, you've got to do something. You've got to get in their faces. You've got to make sure they're not getting time on the ball. You're making sure if they're in corners, you're hunting in packs, and everybody knows what they're doing, and they've obviously researched the Portuguese team. There will be a weak link in there that you can attack. But you've got to be on the front foot. You've got to say, right, okay, you've got better players than us. You're all playing with great sides and all that. But they're not miles ahead. They weren't miles ahead in Portugal.
I'll tell you one thing I'm going to say to you right now. I think Tom Crossan, every now and then you get a golden nugget that comes up on our feed, Tam, and you think to yourself, I think somebody's got it. And I think Tom Crossan has it. He says, what we need is someone who gets the ball in our own penalty box and then beats everyone and scores. And
yeah. He's been reading that old magazine. Who was it? Alf Tupper, was it? What was that? Is that the Hotspur? Was it the Hotspur?
Roy the Rovers.
The
Tiger in Scotia. Yeah. There's 2 minutes to go. Blackie Gray has the ball, puts it to Roy Race, and then bish, bash, bosh. What a goal. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, it's a tough call. I don't know how it's going to go, but I fear we could be in 1 win in 16. Does that change your mindset? Are you looking for progress? Do you think Steve Clarke should just be allowed to get on with it in the main qualifying campaign for the World Cup? Is that the remit, and everything else is just a gradual progression? I'd love to be a fly in the wall, Ruffy, when he's talking to the SFA committee and has to, game by game, offer his assessment on where we are. Because I think as a manager, his job is to try and get the absolute best out of what he has available. But there has to be a moment, Ruffy, when he sits in that chair and said, okay, give me 3 centre-halves. Give me 2 strikers who can score goals. Give me somebody other than the plethora of midfielders that we have on a regular basis. Give us someone that can defend properly, that's available, or give me the strikers, and we don't have them, and we can't magic them out of the air. Interestingly enough, here, give me your take on this, since obviously, I'm not going to mention your age, but I'm going to mention Ronaldo's. He's 39, Ruffy. He scored 906 goals. He got his 133rd goal for Portugal at the weekend against Poland. 72 for Al Nassr, Juventus 101, 145 goals for Man United, the 5 goals for Sporting, and the mere 450 for Real Madrid, which is just frightening. 906 goals. And every press conference now, you have a group of journalists who are saying, does he spoil the balance of the Portugal side? Is it time to hang the boots up?
Yeah, again, you're going back to modern style football. You know, everybody a way back loved that luxury player, but now it's supposed to be a team game. It's 11 players all, working for each other. And as long as that one player is producing the goods and doing something special, you get away with it. But in the modern day now, if the other team have the upper hand and that one player isn't been any effective at all, that's why he's not playing.
Am I being a little bit sentimental on this, Tam? There's a real clamour from some people to say, look, enough is enough. Roberto Martinez is sticking by him because he sees the value in what he offers. I mean, I have to tell you, the Portuguese FA certainly see the value because the merchandise alone, has filled the coffers over the years.
Yeah, I thought he was disappointing in the Euros, Peter. I thought he looked as if it was an Ronaldo show. I think we've seen the games. Portugal were disappointing. They didn't score a lot of goals. I think they exited in, was it penalties to France or something? They just, with the squad of players they've got, I thought they were disappointing. And Ronaldo's, listen, he's Marmite to some people. Some people like him. I think the Portuguese fans he's a legend. He's probably one of their best, if not best ever players. Does he upset the balance? Probably a wee bit for me. Didn't see him the other night, but in the Euros, I just thought everything was trying to get into Ronaldo. Crosses were all looking to play Ronaldo in, and a lot of people didn't really play their natural game. So Robert Martinez is not going to drop him. I don't think, as long as he's in the team scoring goals. But yeah, I think with someone else, maybe a younger striker, which will come shortly. I don't think he's not going to go on forever. Then you maybe see a more free-flowing Portugal team. But every time a Fernandes or a Bernardo Silva gets the ball, the first thought, can we hit Ronaldo? Yeah. I think teams are clocking onto that.
What I did notice in the Euros was when he wasn't playing, when he was on the bench, say 20 minutes to go and then they threw him on, you could see everybody else going, he's on the part now, we better up our game.
I must admit, there's somebody who's obviously, mentioned to me, and there's not a lot I can... not a lot I can do about it because apart from his posturing, I am a fan. I think Messi's, certainly, the greatest player of this last 20 years. I think he's a level just above Ronaldo. But I am a huge fan of Ronaldo, just basically because the stats are incredible, Ruffy. He's a perfect example to so many athletes about working at your craft, working your physique, working on every aspect of the game. I mean, he hit the bar with one, which was basically a sleeping centre half, and he sneaked in and just flicked it onto the bar. If you switch off, when I think it was Leao, hit the post, Ronaldo's there, one touch, the ball's in the back of the net at the weekend. He still, for me, is head and shoulders above a lot of mediocre internationalists, and he's 39.
Yeah, I mean, again, I spoke about it earlier, a really, really good striker being in the right place at the right time. He has got the knack of that. He's been in the game a long time. He can read the game well. He can, balls are coming into the box. He might not get the ball all the time, but he'll anticipate where it is. And I don't know if you remember, I can't even remember what station it was. There was a documentary on Ronaldo on the TV.
Yeah.
And they showed that they put him in a room with a goal and turned all the lights off and firing balls in at him.
Yeah.
And he was getting every ball in the dark. I don't know what side that was on, but that was my last memory. And then they were judging how high he can jump for a standing position.
Yeah.
And the figures were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm a fan. Some people are not. Some people, the more cynical ones, and the people who want to see, maybe the Portuguese journalists who want to see Portugal progress and play in a different style, are signalling the demise of Ronaldo. But I think he's still got something to offer, whether it's at the absolute top level in the major tournament. Does he want to bow out at the World Cup? We shall see. Pretty Polly says, but could he score on a windy night in Arbroath? I think you'd probably have a field day there as well. But Ronaldo, Portugal, give me a prediction. Scotland, Portugal.
I'm going to be positive and go for one each.
One each. Okay, I am going to go Scotland 1, Portugal 2. Tam.
Yeah, I think we can compete for 60, 70 minutes with Portugal, but I think when you look at the depth of the squads, I think that Portugal will probably pick us off late, as they've done in Portugal. So I'm going to agree with you and go sadly 2-1 to Portugal.
Yeah. Ruffy, 12th of October, over the weekend, obviously, as well as it being my daughter's birthday, it was also something momentous for you. 47 years ago, I know you hate it when I do this to you, Ruffy, but 47 years ago.
What year was that?
You'd have been 40.
1977.
You'd have been 40.
No, he wasn't. You weren't 40. You must have been about 24. 26, were you?
1977.
1977. It was a momentous day, 12th of October for you.
Clean sheet against
He
England.
was running about a Scotland-England game. First Scotland-England game. First game for Switzerland.
Eh?
Against Switzerland, first cap.
No. What, in 1977? Are you kidding
Just a
me?
year later on, 76.
Third tenant, Skirrell.
You're going
That's
to
not the
get
year.
battered. You're going to get battered.
That's not the year we beat Portugal 4-1, was it?
No, it's the year where you travelled down to Anfield to defeat Wales.
Yes, I remember that
2-0.
game clearly.
Who scored?
Ken Dalglish
Uh-huh.
and Don Masson.
Yeah. And can I ask you this, just as a wee footnote to it all, did Joe Jordan say in the dressing room?
Never.
No? Never told you that he handled the ball?
I've met Joe tons of times over the years. And
And does he not think that hand was his?
No,
No?
I think they both had. And I think if you watch that game, the Welsh players don't complain either.
Yeah. Here's the difficult one, Ruffy, and I know you're going to be really irritated by me. I've got to ask him, Tam.
Right.
Do you remember the team? Do you remember
Our team?
the team that played that night? And it just gives you an indication of now
me.
the quality that we have now.
Okay.
Right.
Who was in goal?
Good. Quite like that, Tam. Well done.
Martin Buchan played.
He's a sub.
Was he?
Yeah, come on as a sub.
And he come in. Started back.
Yeah.
A sub, man.
No.
Who was the back four in front of you?
Who's the back four?
Oh my God.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on. You're
no.
useless. So, yeah. Do you want me to tell you?
Should Kennedy play?
No. Jardine,
Right.
left back.
Danny.
No, he played for Man City.
Willie Dunnicky.
Yep. The two centre halves. One of them was your big mate. He was just, you loved him.
Big Gordon.
Yes. And the other one was a guy who made an unbelievable tackle for Scotland and England match.
Forsyth.
Thank you. Right, your middle four. Masson's obviously scored the penalty. One of them.
Lou McCarry.
I knew you were going
Your favourite?
Thank God, because I was going to give you a clue there. One of them had a wee book that extensively he always took on tour with him.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
He's a Harvard.
And it was the horse riding.
And the other one is a guy who was really, really skillful, but maybe
Winger.
a winger who maybe
Willie
just
Johnson.
Yeah,
You Willie played.
yeah, wee Willie, yeah. And the last two,
The two strikers might get into the team now.
Dalglish and Jordan.
Dalglish and Jordan. Imagine,
65.
we're talking about the game now. Imagine you Dalglish and Jordan
We'd win.
in that modern team.
If we Dalglish and Jordan at the game against Croatia, we'd have won.
Yeah. And
We're talking about now or back then? We're talking about when they were playing, or we're talking about Douglas and Jordan now?
I'll take Dalglish and Jordan now. I still think.
I got one fella for we're going to play with one forward up front in his day again going to be back. Stevie Archibald. Stevie Archibald could play that one up front.
Yes, he could, absolutely, without a shadow of doubt. he was a magnificent player. Yep, absolutely. My God, when you think of the talent we had then. And a big thank you to John Monaghan, who says, your show is getting worse. Thanks, John. We always like to read out people who are complimentary and those who really don't like us. So with John and his lovely compliment, remember, John, this isn't the show for you. If you don't like the show, why don't you go and watch fanzines? We always like you to go and watch shows elsewhere, which, what do you call it, sums up your, you know, your own intellect. Is that fair, Ruffy? Because sometimes if you're talking football here, it gets above some people's mind and the way they work.
Yeah, I mean, you can't please everybody all the time. You can't agree with everybody all the time as well.
Absolutely. If John can give us a bit in the buzz, we can fire one right back at him. Let's go to the news.
Hello and welcome to your daily news headlines on Monday 14th of October, sponsored by Arnold Clark. Hearts are in advanced talks with Neil Critchley, ex-manager of Blackpool and Queen's Park, as they look to fill their vacant managerial position. There's Scotland news updates as James Forrest has departed the squad and in comes Rangers midfielder Connor Barron. Ahead of Tuesday night's clash against Portugal, Diego Dallo has warned that his side are finding their best form in years. Pedro Martinez Loza is delighted to welcome back Caroline Weir to the squad after a lengthy time out with an ACL injury.
Well, she's a very important player for us, very emotional too in terms of bringing her back and contribute massively, obviously, to the game for us. But also, our priority is to take care of her, to make sure we replicate routines and dynamics that are working well for her. So that we have done a lot of work on, obviously, with the club and the player to do that.
England interim manager Lee Carsley believes that the next England manager should be world class and have won plenty of trophies.
This is a world-class job. This will be up there with the best jobs in football. So, you know, whoever gets it is going to be at a high level. Again, it's a privilege to do this job. I feel really well trusted.
Those were your daily news headlines on Monday 14th of October, sponsored by Arnold Clark. For more exclusive content, please be sure to download our app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks to Cara, one of our new journalists. She's doing really well, Ruffy. She needs a little bit of support every now and then, based on playing up front for Partick Thistle.
Yeah, but I think she's a leading goal scorer. You know, all strikers go through a bad spell. You know, hers is lasting a wee bit longer than...
Well, that's crashed her confidence. Thanks for that, Ruffy. Just listening to Lee Carsley there. He's adamant he's going to go back to the under-21s. It needs a world-class manager. I wonder what they think they need to just get them finally over that hurdle for a major win.
Yeah, I think they do, Peter. It's a huge job. I totally agree with him there. You know, the pool of players that England have got. You know, they've got world-class players in their squad. They're probably, you could argue they've underachieved by not winning anything with that squad of players. I know they've got to 2 finals, but you look at the quality they've got. Pep Guardiola, guys like that. I mean, that's the type of calibre of manager that I'd be looking for. Jurgen Klopp, I know he's got a job with Red Bull, but guys of that ilk, I think England have got to be in for.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, and I think if you look at the bigger clubs, the club sides, you know, when they want a cup or a good run in Europe, they identify a foreign manager who's had that success, whether it be Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern, whatever, you know. So there are certainly managers out with that pedigree.
And talking of pedigree, the Hearts job, Neil Critchley now. We thought it was going to be Hugma. Couldn't get him over the line on Friday. Suddenly they've changed and they're opting now for Neil Critchley, who looks as if he's in the box seat if they can get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
Well, I think this is definitely an algorithm Tony Bloom appointment. I think if you look at his record, I think it's particularly great. I don't think it's inspiring if you're a Hearts supporter. Done a decent job. Obviously, he worked under Steven Gerrard for a long time as a coach. A decent job at Blackpool, really poor at QPR and got sacked. But he must tick all the criteria that Hearts are looking for when they put everything into whatever it is they're putting it into the computer or, you know, kind of stats. He's obviously impressed in interviews as well. He's got up and up. He's impressed. So a couple of Hearts supporters I've spoke to have a little bit underwhelmed by it, but you've got to give everybody a chance. He'll come up. I'm sure if it looks as if it's going to be done today or tomorrow, he'll be in charge for the game at the weekend, and the Hearts supporters will all get behind him. But I don't know. I just think it's a little bit underwhelming if I'm a Hearts fan to see Neil Critchley come in.
Yeah, listen, none of us had heard of Hugma Neil Critchley, we've heard of him. I wonder if Tony Bloom has a major influence on this. Listen, everybody can talk about the Brighton blueprint, Ruffy, and you know, the great people that they've been able to sell on and the way they play football and the managers that they bring in that keeps them in the Premier League. Brentford have adopted this system as well at times. I'm sure there are other clubs who adopt this process and this procedure of, okay, we're going to hire players based on stats. We're going to look at their value for money over their contribution during a game. And then we're going to look at their potential for sell-on. Hearts are dealing in a smaller market that's certainly not up at Brighton, buying somebody for 9 and selling them for 115 million. So they're dealing in a different market. Okay, they might get an influx of cash. I wonder if they're dealing in just somebody who follows the blueprint rather than offers his own personality.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're the only ones that can tell us that. You know, Tom's touched on the success that he's had, but I think I read somewhere that he's actually got one of the highest coaching badges with FIFA or UEFA or something like that. So I think that would go with it as well. I think he coaches to lots of teams all over the place, but his actual club record isn't that good. I mean, Blackpool, he only lasted 3 games.
Yeah, the second time,
yeah. You know, I mean, I know things can happen.
Get them promotion.
I know things can happen at clubs that it's not always the manager's fault. It's the way the board want to go. But Tom's right. This certainly doesn't look like a Hearts board decision, because I don't think the Hearts board would want anything to do with the next manager, because they've made such a pig's ear of it over the last 6 years. The appointments they've having coming in, because none of them's worked.
They finished 3rd last season.
I know, but they're looking for more than that. They're looking for good European runs after getting the 3 million. They want to do it again, and that failed. So they're obviously saying, well, you know, who's going to take us to that level?
Yeah, I must admit, I'm going to go along at the weekend. I don't expect to see anything drastically changing. I think, if anything, the manager, whoever he is, comes in, if it's Neil or if they have to change again, and because they can't get him over the line, I think what they what they will see is, you know, a group of players, for me, who are underachieving. They've got a half-decent squad, Tam, and I think they could get a trick out of them before he gets to this expected change in January, more change in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's a great time to come in as a manager of Hearts. I think we are rock bottom at the minute. You know, they're bottom in the league, seriously underachieved. You know, the squad of players they've got, you know, they added in the summer, they spent money in the summer, they signed, they cherry-picked a lot of the better players from the smaller clubs in Scotland. They went abroad and signed players. So, listen, I think it's a good time to come in. They've got a favourable run of games coming up where you can go and pick up points. So, listen, I think that every managerial appointment is a gamble. I don't know Neil Critchley personally, so we're just surmising what he's like as a coach. But if you just look at it totally just focusing on his record, then I can understand why the Hearts supporters are a wee bit underwhelmed by it.
Okay. Tomorrow, 1 year in charge, Philippe Clement. Here's his record, Ruffy. What would be your assessment of his time in charge at Rangers? 56 games won, 38 drawn. 56 games played, 38 won, 9 drawn, 9 lost. 5 Old Firm games, the record is lost 4, drawn 1. He's used 39 players, the high winning the League Cup, Real Betis, that 3-2 win. Notable lows, the loss to Motherwell in the Scottish Premier League, and the 3-0 loss to Celtic at the start of this campaign certainly hasn't gone down well. What's your overall assessment of him after 1 year?
I think when he came in obviously to a poor side. He's been on record a lot saying there's a lot of people had to leave, you know, and better players coming in. I think he's tried to do that throughout the year. I would hazard a guess that the team that he's got now look better than the first batch that he had in. So I think window on window, I think he's tried to get a lot out. And but they just can't seem to get the target that Rangers supporters want. They want to beat Celtic, obviously. They want to have a right good run in European football. I still think he's maybe 2 or 3 windows away from that, but the stumbling block is he keeps coming out and saying, I don't have the money to get us there.
Tam?
Yeah, I agree. I think that he inherited, you know, a bit of a pig's ear of a squad, to be honest. I think Michael Beale, you know, the players that he brought in just weren't good enough. He's come in with a remit where, listen, we've got to get players out, we've got to reduce the the wage bill drastically. He's got rid of a lot of big hitters. You know, a lot of big money's went out of Rangers, and they've signed cheaper players, which was obviously on his remit as well. I think at the tail end of last season, a real opportunity to win the league, and they didn't do that. And until he beats Celtic in a big game, until he proves that he can win a big game of football against Celtic, then I think the jury's always going to be out on him. Got a huge game coming up in January, you know, against Celtic. They've got to keep winning until then and keep that gap at 5 points. But yeah, I think he needs another couple of windows to get where he wants to be, but second's nowhere in Glasgow. And will I get the time to see that out, Peter? I don't know.
Well, I do think he will, Ruffy. I'm there to be proved wrong, but I think slowly but surely he's getting half-decent players in areas. He's still looking for that prolific goal scorer, hasn't got him yet. I don't see anybody in that lineup that looks as if they're capable of scoring, you know, regularly that 25, 30 that you should be scoring as a Rangers player with the chances created. So that's the biggest problem I think he's going to have to try and address. And then, of course, the only thing that I think he has mentioned that I think is going to, you know, come back to bite him on his backside is he said Celtic will see you in January at Ibrox. A different story. If it isn't a different story, I think a lot of people will be very angry.
Yeah, I mean, you come out with these kind of statements after a big game. You know, people don't have short memories. They remember these things. This is what you promised us. This is what you told us we were going to be. So it makes big emphasis on that game to win it. You know, but as Tam says, there's lots of games before that are as important as that Celtic game, because they're only a couple of defeats away from other teams getting away from them, and the supporters won't like that. Doesn't matter whether it's whatever it is in January. You know, if there's so many points behind, okay, you like to beat your opposition, but if it only means 3 points and you're like 10 or 12 points clear, it's not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, I just wonder, does positive results in Europe, again, it has been known in the past to take people's mind off the pain of what's happening domestically?
Yeah, I think that's always been the case. I think Rangers in recent times in Europe have been excellent. I think it's taking the pressure off the manager domestically. You know, with Celtic dominating, they've gone and winning games, and people can see, well, we're doing well in Europe, maybe we can get closer to Celtic. But they've got some tough fixtures coming up. I mean, Kilmarnock away at the weekend is going to be a tough game for Rangers. I mean, Kilmarnock probably not where they should be in the league, but it's still a tough game to go down there and get a result. And then I think they've got Steaua Bucharest, and then Aberdeen away is looming in the horizon as well. So, yeah, listen, he needs to keep winning games. They need to keep doing well in Europe. The fans need to see where the team's going. You need to see a style of play. You need to see progress, and then the game in January will be pivotal as well in terms of his relationship with the Rangers fans. But I think a lot of Rangers fans are realistic at the minute. They know they're well behind Celtic, but they just want to keep on the coattails, and maybe down to a one-off game in January they can close the gap and see what happens. But yeah, I think they do need to stick with them over the next couple of windows, but they've got to stay close to Celtic.
Big game, weekend, not on the television, 3 o'clock kickoff.
No, I mean, I don't really know understand, you know, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, you know, but obviously the clubs now look after their own supporters. That seems to be 100% the way they go. It's disappointing for the neutrals, you know, who like to see big games. It will be, you know, a great atmosphere at the game. Aberdeen are coming down to Glasgow, and we all know what Alec Ferguson used to say about coming down to Glasgow. You're not going to go anywhere until you can prove to everybody that you can go to Glasgow and take points off the Old Firm.
What would you do, Ruffy, if you had Jimmy Talleen and he doesn't know what he's in for now? He's had this magnificent run, and does he go toe to toe and high press and try and see if they can take them on at their own game?
Yeah, I would. You know,
Yeah.
I would. But you've got a dressing room of confidence. You've got a dressing room of players who are saying, look, we're undefeated here. You know, why shouldn't we be cocky enough to get down there? I personally don't think they've got the players to do it. But it just remains to be seen. I think Celtic are...
And can I ask you this, Ruffy? If you think that Jimmy Talleen should go down to Glasgow and go the high press and go toe-to-toe with Celtic, do you think Celtic should do the same thing against Atalanta?
No, I think Celtic should change.
Yeah.
Should find a plan B of if they do get the first goal, to be disciplined enough to see the game out. You know, to be gung-ho and get another one, you know, which I think they can do, but they've still got to prove it. I just think Aberdeen have got nothing to lose. They're 5 points clear of Rangers, so...
Yeah, it's not going to define their season, Peter. It's not going to define their season, Aberdeen. You know, Aberdeen, as I said to you, I think they've got third tied up already. They can go and have a go. Go and play the way you've been playing. Go and do the things that you've been getting results. Don't change now because of the situation you're in with Celtic. You know, you get done, you get beat. 99% of Scottish football fans would expect Celtic to win this game. So go down and have a go and see what happens. You know, and I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a real great game. But I think you'll see Celtic burn their teeth. And if I'm an Aberdeen fan, I think they could go and be on the end of a heavy defeat in Glasgow. Yeah. Yep.
Brian says Aberdeen's bubble will burst soon. Tone says Jimmy thumping incoming from the champions. Don's 2024 says 2-2 on Saturday. Kenny says Peter Leven figured out Celtic in the semi-final last year, and it was the best game of the season. You know, why not go for it with 21 points? Quite a lot of people. Michael Taylor says, I agree with Kenny, why not have a go? Gary Connor says Aberdeen will get a draw at 4-0 the Hoops from some other quarters. And also Don Clark says, can you give a shout out to Tam's former club, Derry City? They're top of the league tonight with a win and only 3 games left.
Yeah, I've been keeping tabs with Peter. They've not won the league in 30 odd years. I was over there last month.
Can they win and go top of the league tonight?
If they win, they go top of the league and it's in their own hands. To go and win the league, it'd be fantastic for the city. They had a poor result the other night against Bohemians, 1 each. They seem to be stuttering over the line. Shamrock Rovers, who have dominated Irish League for recent years, are still in the mix as well. So it's a really, really exciting. If you look at the league table, it's really exciting. I think 2 or 3 teams can still win it with 3 games to go. But I'd love to see Derry City winning it.
Yeah, would you go over there for the title-winning game?
I'd probably not. No, yeah, I'm not allowed.
I was just wondering because
I've had a few weekends away, so I'm kind of under lock and key now at Christmas.
I was going to say to you, you've got to be the only one on this programme in the last maybe 5-10 years. Well, we're going 12, Ruffy. I can't think of any of the pundits who've ever worked for us who actually said, "Hey, I'm having a weekend away in Blackpool."
No.
It's quite an unusual situation, isn't it? We find ourselves in.
It is, you know. I was surprised to say, well, we can say it was his brother he went with, you know, for his, what was your brother's 40th?
Yeah. Did you go on any of the fairground rides,
No.
or did you just concentrate on the Blackpool? Steady. The minute I said that, I thought, not with Ruffy.
No, there was no rides. No rides.
Just go and have a scoop.
Yeah, we did. We had a great time, and it's the first time I've been down there since I was a kid, and I don't think it's changed much. But it's cheap and cheerful, and well, it wasn't that cheap, but it's cheesy and cheerful, and a good weekend with the boys.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Can't get any better than that, Ruffy.
Ruffy would have loved it, by the way. Ruffy would have loved it.
It would have been really good for you.
It's a lot older.
Here, but no, I was quite happy here. We haven't been away for 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. He did call for your exclusion from the team, you know, and as if to try and phase you out, but we'll still keep you going, Tam. Listen, thanks to so many of you for offering your support. I honestly don't mind people giving us a good kicking as well, Ruffy, which is fine. Everybody's got their own show that they like, don't they?
Yes, of course they do.
Did you think we'd be here 12 years on?
No, not at all.
I
don't know about the next 12 years either.
Exactly. Oh, you'll be here, Ruffy. Even if I've got to dab the side of your mouth, you'll still be here. I'm going to stick with you.
Well, would you just put a wee urn behind there? You'll still be here in spirit.
You moron. What age are you now, Ruffy?
I'll be 73 next month.
Wow. 73. You look fantastic for 73, and we're still playing tennis.
You'll be saying that tomorrow night of the tennis.
No, I know, absolutely. But listen, you can play tennis. He plays golf. He's doing all right for a 73-year-old, isn't he?
Aye, if I'm looking Ruffy at 73, I would be delighted.
Well, let's be honest about it. The lifestyle you have down to Blackpool, you'll not be here at 53, never mind 73. Listen, thanks to everyone who watches the show and subscribes. If you get a chance, hit the subscribe button. Even like John there earlier on, if you hate us, hit the subscribe button. Always helps. You know, it's one of those situations. We take all comers, love and hate. Thanks very much for watching and listening to the show.